Moving into our next segment of the day. This one is kind of a little of a browbeater, folks. One that you may or may not agree with, but we're about to see. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, leave us a comment down below. It really does support the channel and forces the YouTube algorithm to send our videos out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. Well, the LAUSD, the Los Angeles Unified School District, basically the second or the largest school district, I think the other one is New York, reports record-setting 4.5 increase in graduation rates from previous school year. Now, you might be going, oh, that's awesome. Many of you know I'm an educator myself, so I'm about to say some things that you may or may not agree with, which is okay. We're always going to say things that, I'm going to agree with you on some things. I'm going to disagree with you on some things. That's just how the world works. Doesn't mean we can't get along here. Well, the Unified School District, LAUSD, is reporting a record-setting graduation rate for the 2021-2022 school year. The district says that 86% of high school students completed their graduation requirements heading to college or into a career. It's not as it seems, you guys. So hold on, I'm about to break it down for you. That's a 4.5% increase over the previous year and a 7% jump from 2019. It sounds great. You're going, oh, that's awesome. People are graduating high school. When I tell you why this is not what it seems, it's going to make sense as why there's a 4.5% increase. Quote, we're confident that early signs of success are beginning to manifest from the 2022-2026 strategic plan, and our vision of transforming Los Angeles Unified into a premier urban district in the nation is being actualized. Quote, the Los Angeles Unified School District community has demonstrated an indefensible resiliency in the face of challenges from the pandemic, and this latest data point validates the progress we are making. And forgive me, folks, I didn't zoom in on the writing here, so I'm having to squint. I'm supposed to wear glasses. More than 50% of graduates also met all UC and CSU requirements, up nearly 2.5% from the prior year. Now, why is this kind of a little bit of a manipulation of data in a sense? Because just because you have a 4.5% increase in graduation rates doesn't mean that people are actually meeting certain requirements. And as an educator, let me explain what goes on behind the scenes. The new A is probably a B minus. A B minus is probably a C minus, and a C minus is probably a D minus, and a D minus is probably like really an F. I mean, folks, you pretty much have to just show up to school and tie your shoes to graduate and get a C. I mean, the length that teachers have to go to now just to get somebody to pass is crazy. Let me do another analogy for you. School has changed a lot since you and I went to school. We'd walk in, take our notes, listen to the teacher, go home, do a ton of math problems and all this other stuff, and actually, push ourselves to learn and things like that. You might have 30 problems in one night. Math is no longer that scenario. You might get 5 problems, you might get 10 problems. Sometimes, maybe going crazy nowadays, 20 problems a night, if that. And some schools are doing away with homework altogether. And some of you might be like, that's great, that's awesome. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's ramifications to not doing all these things. And I'm telling you as an educator, it doesn't mean I know everything, but there are things that we need to utilize within our education system to help people be productive and actually learn the material and transfer it from factual knowledge to procedural fluency to problem solving. And they're not able to do that, folks. They're not able to do that. We have people graduating that are reading at basically like a middle school grade level. Overall, just 37% of 12th graders reached or exceeded the academic preparedness benchmarks for both math and reading, folks. Basically 1/3, you got to really lower that number because it's also exceeding. You have to lower that number. 1 in 3 people don't actually meet the requirements whatsoever. So they're graduating without actually knowing really anything. And this has had ramifications in California, where you had students going into the CSU school system, which it quotes here about they're meeting the requirements, and you would have to take an entry-level exam for math and English. And what happened was you had so many people not passing into the entry-level courses, and they were having to take like 4 or 5 prerequisite courses just to count towards their graduation to get into like basically Math 100, that they had to do away with it. They didn't have enough room for all these people because they actually didn't know math and they didn't know English. So they'd have to take 3 or 4 classes before they ever met that graduation requirement, meaning it delayed their graduation, meaning the school wasn't getting as much money as they thought they would be getting, and they want to pump people through. So it has massive ramifications. So rather than going, man, you know what? Well, SOL, you're going to still have to take all these classes. What they did in the CSU was, let's just do away with the entry exam here, and we'll just let people choose what math class they want to go into. How do you think that works out? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing. The LAUSD has such an issue with people actually learning things that they got rid of the high school exit exam one year for people in an underprivileged area because they couldn't pass it and their graduation rates were terrible. So what I'm trying to get at here is tell you, just because you have a graduation rate that was increased, or you have a 99% graduation rate at maybe your high school, unfortunately, I hate to tell you, it doesn't mean anything anymore nowadays. Nobody gets held back. I've seen students literally get Fs, like they would have like a 32% the day before finals, and they're still pumped through the system, you guys. Please don't think that, oh, because of graduation rates, school is so much easier than when you and I went. It is ridiculous. Somebody asked me, they go, if you had to have your kids get a quality education, what would you need them to do? And I said, well, one, probably go to private school. Two, you need to take all AP classes. The AP classes nowadays is the type of education that we would have received in general education when we were in high school. The general education now is what you would get in a lower level. Let me give you another analogy. College nowadays, a PhD is the new master's degree. The new master's degree is the new bachelor's degree. The new bachelor's degree is the associate's degree. Okay? So it's just a lower level. If you're in high school, the high school education you're getting is basically middle school. The middle school education you're basically getting is elementary school. In elementary school, you just show up, you tie your shoes, you eat some toothpaste, and you're freaking good. So that's kind of where it's at. And I'm not trying to diminish some schools. Some schools are really excelling. But the graduation rates that are being displayed here don't really speak to the underlying issue that we're seeing, where they don't know how to read. They don't know how to do math. They don't know how to do basic algebra. So this is a major issue that we have here, because these are the people, this is the next generation that's supposed to carry on America. They don't even know that there's 50 states. They don't know the basics of what actually goes into civics in our government. They don't even know that there's 3 branches of government, you guys. I'm not saying everybody, okay? I don't want to make it seem like this is an epidemic. But I just think when people boast about certain things and go, oh, well, look at our graduation rates, or I graduated high school, it doesn't mean what it used to mean when you or I went, or our parents went, or our grandparents went. It's been really pared down to almost nothingness, and it's a dumpster fire. Really, at the end of the day, it's turned into more of a daycare thing. And I'm not trying to vent here. I'm just trying to give you what I've seen as somebody that was a public accountant for a lot of years, switched into the career of teaching, which I absolutely love. I mean, there are some just genuinely just amazingly smart students out there. So please don't feel like I'm trying to diminish our education system. It has a lot of work to be doing, but it is not the same. And I think a lot of parents don't realize really what goes on behind the scenes in our education system of kind of just getting these kids through, regardless of them learning something or not learning something. I mean, you can have kids take an entire final and just show that they literally did not learn anything. Maybe they passed the exam throughout the year, but it doesn't mean they actually retained it and actually held on to it and know it, and they'll go to college and actually do really well in that course or that field of work that they're going into. So I'm rambling a little bit here, but I do think it's an important component to bring up and kind of give more of an educator's perspective on, well, it's not really that great of a statistic. And if you're kind of boasting about an 86% graduation rate, which is probably more like maybe 40% of those kids should be graduating, that's going to be my guess. And I'll even make it higher. I'll say 60% should be graduating, meaning 40% should realistically not be graduating high school. That's my 2 cents, but I want to have more of a conversation about this in the comment section below. Really, let me know what you think about this. Was I being too harsh? Am I just giving you the reality of what I'm seeing, which honestly, that's just what I'm doing. Let's have a really good discussion here between Republicans and conservatives down in the comment section below. What do you think of high school nowadays? Do you think they've pared it down quite a bit? Do you think it's easy? Do you think that students have it easier than when we went to school? What do you believe in? Do you believe in the homework thing? Do you like the homework coming home that kids work on for that procedural fluency, so they actually know how to problem solve, or they have to read, or whatever it may be? I understand you're going to have kind of a bias on it because I'm sure they bug you with the homework questions, but I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.